how do you set goals and how do you keep those goals? New Year's is around the corner, and often we think, oh, that's the time to set the goals and that's the time to make things happen. But did you know that the majority of people by February are done and give up with their goals? By February, 1 month. So, how do you stick with them? How do you avoid that happening? How do you let another year go by where you set all these good intentions and then time moves on and nothing changes? Well, that's what we're talking about in today's episode. So, strap in and get ready for episode 089. Let's go.
I've always been that skinny guy.
Why can't I gain muscle mass?
What do I do in the gym?
They said I'd always be skinny.
This is your complete source for how to gain lean muscle and break out of your skinny body. From nutrition to getting the most out of your workouts and everything in between. We know just how frustrating gaining muscle mass can be, but don't worry, we've got you covered. You're listening to the Bones to Bulk podcast. Hey, welcome to today's episode. My name is Brian Parody, and I will be your host today. And I'm excited to dive into this topic because, goals are essential to anything we do, whether it's fitness, whether it's work, whether it's family, like whatever we are striving towards, we have to set goals. But they have to be the right kind of goals. They have to be set up the right way, and that's what we're going to dive into. But before we do, if you have not been over to bonestobulk.com, head on over there, check out the free training, yes, free, that I created for you. You'll see it right there on the homepage. You cannot miss it. Click the button, sign up for it. It will be delivered to your inbox. It can't get any easier, right? All right, with that being said, let's dive in. So goals. What is a goal? You probably think, well, it's you decide you want to do something and then you do it. Well, it's not quite that simple, and that's oftentimes why we fail, is because we have these very broad goals. For instance, maybe your goal is, I want to gain 50 pounds of muscle. Awesome, great goal. But that, you can't end there. You can't just stop and be like, okay, that's my goal. No, you have to break it down. You have to figure out time frame. You have to figure out a lot of elements. So for starters, let's go into time frame. I want to gain 50 pounds in a year, 2 years. How do we want to break that down? And depending on what your starting point is, that's going to kind of determine of how long it's going to take you. Then once you kind of determine a time frame, then it's important to break that time frame down. So, for example, I want to gain 50 pounds, let's say 48, just to make the math easy, right? So how many pounds do I need to gain per month to hit that goal? I need to gain 4 pounds per month, right? Now, that gives me a much smaller goal that I can actually work with. Because when I look at the goal of 48 pounds, that seems almost insurmountable. But when I look at the goal of, well, I just need to gain 4 pounds, that's way more manageable, and I can focus on doing that. Now, we know in order to gain 1 pound, we have to eat in excess 3,500 calories for the week. So what that means is every day I need to be consuming 500 calories more than what I'm burning. And then at the end of the week, that I add 3,500, and that will equate to 1 pound and ultimately give me that 4 pounds a month. Now, if you want to gain muscle faster than that, then you're going to have to consume more calories per week. That's just kind of how that rolls. So you see how by breaking that down, my ultimate goal is 48 pounds of muscle. My monthly goal is 4 pounds, and then my weekly goal is 1 pound, which equates on a day-to-day basis of what I have to actually be implementing is eating 500 more calories above what I burn each day while working out. So we've got to dissect our goals a little bit. We can't just throw it out there of, I want to do this, I want to do that, without making like a surefire plan, because then nothing happens, as you probably are familiar with. Because I'll be honest, I've set goals before way in the past where I didn't have a clear vision, where I didn't have a clear goal, and did it get accomplished? No. So you've got to be making steps. All right, so that covers kind of time frame and how you need to break down that time frame into manageable chunks. So you could say that my long-term goal is to gain 48 pounds of muscle. My kind of shorter term goal is to gain 4 pounds a month. And then my sole focus for each day is to eat 500 more calories. So bite-sized chunks, you've got to break your goals up in that way. Now, the next thing is it's got to be realistic. That goal is realistic the way we broke that down. Now, if I said I want to gain 100 pounds of muscle in a year, that's a little bit more unrealistic, because by that point, we're talking about gaining upwards of 8 pounds per month, which is a lot to consecutively do that month after month. So you've got to make sure that your goals are realistic. Now, there's nothing wrong with being overeager and shooting high, but know your limitations, know what's actually feasible. The next thing is, are you going to be able to consecutively do this? In other words, what is the kind of the 500 calories a day? That's what our daily task is. That's what our daily mission is. So we've got to make sure we stay on task with that. We have to make sure that we are doing the steps we need each day and not just focused on the big picture. Because while the big picture is where we want to go, just looking at the big picture is not going to get us there. Make sense? All right, another key to accomplishing your goals is figuring out why in the first place do you even want to attain this goal? Like, why would you want to gain 48 pounds of muscle? Maybe it's because you lack self-esteem and want to build that. Maybe it's so you just feel confident in going out. Maybe it's to be strong for your kids, to be an example for someone. Maybe it's to compete in some kind of competition. Maybe it's just you want to get in overall better shape because you're having health issues. Like, whatever the reason, find out that why, and keep asking why. Like, keep asking why until you cannot ask why any longer, until you get to that deep-rooted reason, that underlying motivation. Now, once you have uncovered that why, then what? Then you need to write it down. Physically write it down on a piece of paper and tape it either to your bathroom mirror, to your dashboard in your car, to your computer, to wherever you will see it on a daily basis. So that when on those days when you feel like you're not making it or things aren't happening fast enough, you can look at that why and it can be a reminder. No, I'm doing this for this reason and I'm going to stick with it and I'm going to make sure that it happens. Because if we just don't really, because if we go into it without a why, if we go into it without a reason, without a true meaning that matters a lot to us personally of why we're doing this, then we're not going to stick with it because it doesn't have any lasting value for us. So that's why it's really important to instill that why and figure it out. So take some time, make a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, whatever is your thing. Spend some time that it's just you, where you're focused, and write down your whys. And again, just keep writing whys down. Write down one why and then another until you really, really get to the heart of the matter. And that's going to ultimately be your reason that you get up in the morning to work out, the reason that you go to the gym after a long day, the reason that you just keep pushing when you don't feel like it. So you've got to find that why. And the last thing is find someone to help keep you accountable. Now, this doesn't mean someone to hold your hand and go to the gym with you and all that stuff. No, this just means someone who they can hold you accountable and you can hold them accountable. And once a week, that may be just checking in and being like, hey, how are those goals going? Hey, how did you do this week? Hey, are you on track? And be honest, be real. This isn't a fakeness to where oh yeah, everything's great. No, if you struggle that week, be honest and be like, yeah, I struggled this week. And that person should then be like, well, okay, no worries. What are you going to do to make this next week better? And then make a game plan for the next week to avoid the mistakes you just made. And then do the same for that person. Having an accountability partner can be a great thing, and it doesn't have to be someone in person. I don't care if this is online, somebody you pick up the phone and call, somebody you get on FaceTime with, whatever. Find someone, though, who is on a similar journey. Maybe they're not even on a fitness journey. Maybe they're working towards some other goals, and you can help them keep accountable with those. So find someone. And if you're struggling, you're like, well, there's just nobody. I don't have anybody. Go to facebook.com and search Bones to Bulk. We have an amazing group over there, and I'm telling you, those people will help keep you accountable. We have the most amazing members that every week I'm overwhelmed by all the support that everybody shows and the knowledge in there. So head on over there and join that group. All right, so with that being said, remember, no matter what anybody's told you, what walls you've hit, how many times you've tried to go after a goal and failed, you can accomplish your goal when it's set up the right way. You've got this.